Apa yang harus diperhatikan utamanya gitu ya ketika ingin membuat sebuah perusahaan?
Pertama, aku cari partner yang tepat, mentor yang tepat, dan yang ketiga adalah butuh network.
Wakil Presiden Maruf Amin menegaskan pengembangan industri halal menjadi salah satu fokus pemerintah dalam memajukan sektor industri di Indonesia.
Kita mampu untuk menjadi produsen halal terbesar.
Saya Prisa Samodatu membawakan program berita News Screen yang menghadirkan informasi seputar ekonomi maupun juga bisnis dari dalam negeri.
Seluruh aktivitas perdagangan dan pariwisata harus mengacu pada aplikasi Peduli Lindungi.
Semua kegiatan kita nanti itu harus berangkat terintegrasi dengan Peduli Lindungi.
Indonesia pushes trade cooperation as commitment of G20 presidency. Ombudsman asks government to speak up about wild PCR business issue. Few informations from business, economic, and capital market sector. And as the pandemic is still ongoing, we will provide you the latest COVID-19 information. Please stay safe by taking some simple precautions such as physical distancing, wearing a mask, avoiding crowds, cleaning your hands, and having less mobility. And with me, Fajar Wayong, this is Market Headlines. Let's start market headlines. At the 26th Conference of Parties in Glasgow, Scotland, Minister of Energy and Mineral Resources Arifin Tasrif underlined Indonesia's commitment to stop the utilization of coal-fired power plants.
Energy and Mineral Resources Minister Arifin Tasrif underlined Indonesia's commitment to stop the utilizations of coal-fired power plants at the Indonesian Pavilion at the 26th Conference of Parties in Glasgow, Scotland. In addition, according to the minister, Indonesia's nationally determined contributions, or NDC, can be achieved by reducing carbon dioxide emissions in the energy sector by 315 billion tons by 2030. Tasrif affirms that no additional coal-fired power plants projects will be commissioned in Indonesia from 2026 to 2030. The nation will only complete existing projects, the ones being built and the ones for which contracts have been signed. Furthermore, the second phase of the coal-fired power plant phase-out will be conducted from 2036 to 2040 and will apply to subcritical, critical, and supercritical plants, the minister said. During the period, the government will seek to boost the use of renewable energy utilizations to 66% by predominantly using solar, hydro, and bioenergy plants, he said. IDX Channel reports.
The government's plan to encourage trade cooperation to accelerate economic recovery is confirmed to be a joint commitment of G20 countries. The Minister of Trade, Muhammad Lutfi, ensured that the recovery of world trade would continue to be prioritized, especially in the agenda of the Indonesia's G20 presidency. The Trade Minister explained that the G20 member countries are committed to contributing to economic recovery, to restore trade as the engine of economic recovery. In this effort, Indonesia as the G20 presidency in 2022 ensures that it will play an active role in promoting mutual recovery through better trade cooperation. This is driven by strengthening trade cooperation with large and small countries, which are directed at strengthening global supply chains and economic recovery. Previously at the G20 summit, Italy prioritized collective action in the fields of trade and investment based on three pillars of people, planet and prosperity. The Italian G20 presidency also raised the issue of government support, which has contributed to the distortion of global trade.
In G20 meeting last week, I believe that the policy coherence between trade, investment, and industrial areas will significantly benefit global economic recovery and development. Trade and investment embedded in global and regional value chain are powerful tools to leverage industrializations, increase growth, and create conditions for a sustained growth, notably the post-COVID-19 pandemic. We need to ensure that international trade and investment can effectively contribute to global economic recovery.
Meantime, the Ministry of Trade continues to push for economic growth targets by continuing to expand export destination countries. The export development target will continue to be strengthened by targeting non-traditional export destination countries.
The Ministry of Trade continues to encourage increased trade with non-traditional export destination countries. In the counter-trade program carried out through trade enterprises, the Ministry of Trade ensures that the government continues to support efforts to diversify the export market. The Acting Director General of Foreign Trade at the Ministry of Trade, Indra Sari Wisnuwardana, explained that this party continues to encourage increased cooperation with other countries to strengthen trade. Wisnu explained that counter-trade cooperation has been encouraged by the Ministry of Trade with several potential countries, one of which is Mexico.
Di tengah tantangan global ini, kita dituntut untuk membuat terobosan yang kreatif dan inovatif dalam mengoptimalkan peluang pasar yang ada. Peluang pasar dimaksud tidak menutup kemungkinan hanya kerjasama ekspor-impor konvensional, namun juga kerjasama ekspor-impor melalui skema imbal dagang. Hadirin yang saya hormati, saya menaruh perhatian khusus pada kontrak jual beli dalam kerangka imbal dagang yang mencakup produk-produk ekspor Indonesia berupa rempah-rempah, yaitu lada hitam, lada putih, merica bubuk, pala, dan adas manis.
The Ministry of Trade also facilitated perusahaan perdagangan Indonesia to carry out the signing of a sale and purchase contract through a business-to-business counter-trade scheme. Cooperation between perusahaan perdagangan Indonesia with a Mexican company in the form of canola oil from Mexico and spices from Indonesia. From Jakarta, Rajo Patmo for IDX Channel.
And we're moving on to global update. U.S. President Joe Biden has criticized the leaders of China and Russia for not turning up to the COP26 climate summit. Meanwhile, the Taliban has announced a complete ban on the use of foreign currency in Afghanistan. And more stories on today's International Minute. U.S. President Joe Biden has criticized the leaders of China and Russia for not turning up to the COP26 climate summit. In a speech on Tuesday night, Biden said climate was a gigantic issue and China walked away, adding it was the same thing with Russia and Putin. Neither Russian President Vladimir Putin nor China's leader Xi Jinping are at the summit. Both countries, however, have sent delegations to the talks, which are due to run for 2 weeks until 14 November. Prime Minister Boris Johnson has said there is a long way to go in the fight to curb climate change, but he is cautiously optimistic. Speaking at the COP26 climate summit in Glasgow, he said the doomsday clock is still ticking, but we've got a bomb disposal team on site. World leaders are leaving the summit with negotiators for each nation taking over to agree on climate pledges. More than 100 countries agreed on Tuesday to cut emissions of methane. The Taliban has announced a complete ban on the use of foreign currency in Afghanistan, a move certain to cause further disruption to an economy pushed to the brink of collapse by the abrupt withdrawal of international support in the wake of groups' takeover of the country. The announcement on Tuesday came hours after a coordinated gun and bomb attack on Afghanistan's biggest military hospital in the capital, Kabul. Dubai plans to sell shares in its main utility, valuing the firm at more than $25 billion in a deal that will rank among the Emirates' biggest listings, according to people familiar with the matter. Dubai Electricity and Water Authority's initial public offering is likely to be the first of many as the government tries to revive a flagging local bourse, the people said. IDX Channel reports. Stay tuned on Market Headlines. We'll be right back after this quick break.
Kini aplikasi mClears hadir di handphone Anda untuk memudahkan transaksi Anda. Informasi aktivitas clearing dan penjaminan tidak lagi hanya dapat diakses melalui komputer di kantor Anda, melainkan dapat diakses di mana saja dan kapan saja dalam genggaman Anda. Fitur-fitur mClears. Equity clearing dan settlement adalah fitur di mana Anda dapat melihat posisi kewajiban settlement anggota clearing hingga nilai alternate case settlement serta informasi gagal bayar. Risk management adalah fitur di mana Anda dapat melihat posisi trading limit, kolateral, MKBD, portofolio harian, risk charge anggota clearing dan kombinasi, serta nilai minimum cash collateral. Derivatif adalah fitur di mana Anda dapat melihat posisi trading limit, margin call, dan informasi clearing derivatif. Terkait pinjam-meminjam efek, terdapat fitur mengenai borrowing information dan lendable pool information, serta lending revenue dan borrowing fee. Serta menu lain yang menampilkan informasi mengenai haircut, risk charge saham, dan nilai harga penyelesaian harian dan harga penyelesaian final. Selain itu, Anda juga dapat mengakses fitur pengumuman, peraturan, dan informasi layanan KPEI pada aplikasi mClears. Download aplikasi mClears di App Store atau Google Play Store. Lakukan registrasi user Anda dengan menggunakan alamat email berdomain resmi yang sesuai dengan anggota clearing Anda. Setelah registrasi, Anda akan diberikan kode OTP di email Anda untuk verifikasi, dan aplikasi mClears Anda siap untuk digunakan. Anda dapat mengakses seluruh menu pada aplikasi mClears dengan melakukan aktivasi berlangganan premium yang dapat dilakukan dengan memilih menu Get Premium. Download aplikasinya sekarang, lakukan registrasi, dan dapatkan kemudahan dalam genggaman tangan Anda. Kemudahan informasi KPEI dalam genggaman Anda.
Welcome back on Market Headlines. President Joko Widodo expressed his views on making forests part of global climate action. This was conveyed by the President at the World Leaders Summit on Forest and Land Use, which was held at the Scottish Event Campus, Glasgow, Scotland. He gave an example. Forest fires will have an impact on greenhouse gas emissions and biodiversity regardless of the type of ecosystem. The devastating fires in the Americas, Europe, and Australia are also a common concern. Joko explained that regarding forest management, Indonesia has also changed the paradigm from forest product management to forest landscape management. This step makes forest area management more comprehensive. In addition, Indonesia is also carrying out restoration of mangrove ecosystems, which play a role in absorbing and storing carbon.
Pada KTT kemarin, saya menyampaikan bahwa sektor kehutanan dan lahan di Indonesia akan mencapai net carbon sink pada tahun 2030. Ini adalah komitmen Indonesia untuk menjadi bagian dari solusi. Indonesia menempatkan aksi iklim dalam konteks pembangunan yang berkelanjutan. Dan kebijakan pengelolaan hutan berkelanjutan harus memadukan pertimbangan lingkungan dengan ekonomi dan sosial. Perhatian kita harus mencakup seluruh jenis ekosistem hutan, tidak hanya hutan tropis, tapi juga hutan iklim sedang dan boreal. Kebakaran hutan misalnya berdampak pada emisi gas rumah kaca dan keanekaragaman hayati apapun jenis ekosistemnya. Terkait pengelolaan hutan, Indonesia juga telah mengubah paradigma dari manajemen produk hutan menjadi manajemen landscape hutan, sehingga pengelolaan area hutan menjadi lebih menyeluruh.
Ombudsman appealed to the government to be outspoken regarding the provision of PCR data in Indonesia. Transparency of PCR data is said to be necessary to avoid bad assumptions that are currently developing, namely allegations of state officials being involved in the PCR business.
Ombudsman member Yeka Hendra Fatika criticized the government's policy regarding PCR tests, which often fluctuates or is inconsistent. According to him, the inconsistent policy makes people assume bad things about the government. He added allegations of state officials involved in the PCR business must be straightened out immediately.
Ombudsman berharap bahwa kebijakan terkait PCR ini dalam rangka menjaga marwah institusi negara harus diturunkan dari sebuah kajian komprehensif dari lembaga independen yang memang berkompetensi untuk menyatakan bahwa PCR ini wajib atau tidak. Itu poin pertama. Poin kedua, tolong juga dilihat suasana kebatinan masyarakat Indonesia yang daya belinya pun sekarang sedang melemah. Jika seandainya memang ini adalah merupakan kewajiban dan program pemerintah, maka Ombudsman berharap yang melakukan tes ini adalah institusi pemerintah, tidak boleh institusi swasta, dan bukalah data setransparan mungkin terkait dengan pembiayaan ini.
Yeka added, transparency of data on the provisions of PCR by the government must be carried out so that the public can see whether or not there are officials who take advantage of the mandatory PCR policy. Yeka also asked the government to ensure that business ethics are carried out by business actors providing PCR services so that the public is not harmed. From Jakarta, Rizka Ayu, IDX Channel.
University of Indonesia economist Teguh Rifki projects Indonesia's economy to grow 4.1% in the third quarter of 2021. He added that the success of economic growth returning to the pre-pandemic levels next year will depend on efforts to minimize the spread of COVID-19 and accelerating vaccination rates. Indonesia's economy is forecast to grow 4.1% in the 3.9 to 4.3% range in the 2021 third quarter, after earlier increasing by 7.07%, according to University of Indonesia economist Teguh Rifki. Moreover, he projected overall economic growth of 3.8% in 2021 over the risk of a surge in COVID-19 cases at the year-end and a growth reversal in the fourth quarter being rather difficult. Although economic activity has increased since the easing of public activities restrictions in August 2021, the enthusiasm over economic growth is likely to be limited, as a case spike at end of the year is likely. Looking at the current dynamics of economic growth, Rifki deems it necessary to note the fact that the pandemic is not completely over. He added that maintaining awareness of the spread of the virus by applying health protocols and accelerating vaccination rates are keys to pursuing growth back to pre-pandemic levels. According to Rifki, if economic growth can return to that before the pandemic, it will lie in the range of 5.1% to 5.4% in 2022. Thus, the success of economic growth returning to the pre-pandemic levels next year will depend on how comprehensively the government and society can apply those two keys, regardless of the uncertainties that might arise. IDX Channel reports. State-owned electricity company PLN will invest up to $500 billion to support green energy, decarbonize and achieve the 2060 carbon neutral target. PLN's Director of Finance and Risk Management, Cynthia Rusli, stated since November 2020, PLN has carried out a green transformation. This includes capturing green funding opportunities to achieve the 2060 carbon neutral target. For this reason, PLN has accelerated the increase in the portion of new and renewable energy generation in line with the 2021-2030 electric power supply business plan. In addition, PLN has also implemented a co-firing program at steam power plants and replaced diesel power plants in remote areas with renewable energy-based plants. And to achieve this target, PLN will increase the portion of green financing by launching a sustainable financing framework. This is done in order to accelerate the increase in renewable energy generating capacity, so that people can enjoy clean and reliable energy to remote villages and achieve sustainable development goals. To capture green funding opportunities, PLN opens options from various instruments. First, green bonds or green sukuk. Second, social bonds. Third, sustainability bonds. And stay with us because Market Headlines will be right back with information from the capital market.
Halo Sobat Investor, kalian udah punya rumah belum? Berikut ini adalah tips bagi kalian yang ingin memiliki rumah impian. Tips yang pertama adalah menabung auto debit untuk membayar DP rumah. Kesulitan utama dalam membeli rumah adalah membayar uang muka sebagai syarat KPR. Jadi saat pertama kali kalian menerima gaji, langsung disisihkan secara otomatis ya untuk ditabung. Tips yang kedua adalah menabung dalam bentuk tabungan deposito ataupun emas. Menabung dalam bentuk tabungan deposito dan juga emas membuat tabungan kalian menjadi lebih aman dan tentunya melatih kalian agar semakin disiplin dalam menabung. Tips yang ketiga adalah cari DP rumah yang bisa dicicil. Program cicilan DP rumah membantu kalian yang memiliki dana terbatas. Tips berikutnya adalah pilihlah rumah yang sesuai dengan kebutuhan kalian. Pilihlah rumah yang memang kalian butuhkan ya Sobat Investor. Tips yang terakhir adalah pilihlah KPR dengan tenor yang cukup panjang. Karena KPR dengan tenor yang panjang membuat cicilan bulanan kalian menjadi lebih rendah. Nah, kini memiliki properti impian tentunya bukan angan-angan lagi ya Sobat Investor. Harga saham emiten Bank Digital PT Bank Jago Tbk terkoreksi di tengah munculnya transaksi saham besar-besar UVCR yang ternyata naik sekitar 4,22%.
You're watching Market Headlines. At the Jakarta Composite Index intraday movement, earlier today, Jakarta Composite Index was open at the level of 6,502.58. And then approaching the closing time on the first session, the index was on the level of 6,524.64. Then the index was showing strengthening trend by the second session closing time. Index was closed at the level of 6,552.13. And in short, Jakarta Composite Index went up 0.91%. And next we're going to see the sectoral movement. Leading the dynamics of today's trading, we got technology sector, went up 1.47%. Property sector went up 1.33%. Meanwhile, industry sector went down 0.25% and non-cyclic went down 0.19%. And moving on to top gainers and top losers, here are the key highlights from today's trading session. Astra International went up 1.27% to the level of 5,975 rupiah. Bank Central Asia went up 0.68% to the level of 7,350 rupiah per share. Bank Rakyat Indonesia went up 1.9% to the level of 4,290 rupiah per share, and Arto went up 0.65% to the level of 15,400 rupiah per share. And meantime, the top losers for today's trading, we got Care went down 4.18% to the level of 458 rupiah. Smart Friend or Friend went down 1.82% to the level of 110 rupiah per share. NATO went down 1.49% to the level of 660 rupiah per share. And United Tractors went down 2.93% to the level of 22,325 rupiah per share. And meantime, the top losers. And meantime, for rupiah movement towards US dollar, we can see it on your TV for the detailed information of rupiah movement towards US dollar. Open at the level of 14,287 rupiah, showing weakening trend towards US dollar, and was closed at the level of 14,300. And in summary, rupiah went down 0.09%. Cement producer Semen Batu Raja posted an increase in performance in the third quarter of 2021. The company was able to record a net profit of 16.6 billion rupiah.
Cement producer Semen Batu Raja posted an increase in performance in the third quarter of this year. This issuer scored a revenue of 1.21 trillion rupiah in the third quarter of 2021. This income rose 5.48% compared to the same period last year of 1.15 trillion rupiah. Based on the financial report, this income was contributed from the sale of packaged cement worth 1.03 trillion rupiah, up 3.08% from 1 trillion rupiah on an annual basis or year-on-year. In addition, revenue was also contributed by sales of bulk cement, which reached 148 billion rupiah, and transportation services of 4 billion rupiah. Until September 2021, the company was recorded to be able to reduce the cost of revenue to 651.6 billion rupiah, down 7.1% year-on-year. With this performance, the company was able to record a net profit of 16.6 billion rupiah from a loss 112.6 billion rupiah in the third quarter of 2020. IDX Channel reports.
Supported by rising revenues in the first 9 months this year, Sentul City managed to record a positive performance. The company posted revenue of 2.6 billion trillion rupiah, or a 955% jump on an annual basis. According to Cece Mulyanto, President Director of Sentul City, the increase in revenue was supported by the sale of land and buildings worth 2.4 trillion rupiah. These transactions shot 2,066% over the same period in the previous year. Apart from retail sales and block sales, Sentul City's revenue was also supported by an increase in the business optimized by its subsidiaries in the form of hotel, restaurant and amusement park operations of 15.8 billion rupiah, an increase of 24% year-on-year to 80 billion rupiah until September 2021. This increase in revenue also boosted net profit. The company obtained a net profit of 300 billion rupiah. And step aside from market condition as the efforts in achieving herd immunity is still going on. Here it is an update data about COVID-19 vaccinations in Indonesia. And the news close our market headlines today. Please enjoy our next program on IDX Channel, your trustworthy economic, business, and capital market channel. And viewers, to prevent the spread of COVID-19, always wear a mask and get vaccinated immediately. Masks have been shown to reduce the risk of transmission by 80%, while vaccines minimize the risk of death by 73%. So let's wear a mask and get vaccinated, because masks and vaccines keep us healthy and happy. And I'm Fajar Wayong. Have a nice evening and stay safe.